Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nidhaya Desham Bhavita Vivado Madhvadvadatamrita Vachananam Desham Vadhopaya Iyanatanyo Mayudyate Antar Dadhate Swayam Smam.
Translation, Hare Krishna. Translation, when they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication with their eyes red like copper because of drinking madhu, then only will they disappear, otherwise it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place.
Evam Sachintya Bhagavan Swarajya Stapya Dharmajam Nandayam Asa Suhreda Sadhunam Vartmadarshayan.
Lord Shri Krishna, thus thinking to himself, established Maharaj Yudhishthir in the position of supreme control of the world in order to show the ideal of administration on the path of piety.
Utarayam Dritapuro Vamshasadho Abhimanyuna Savaidronyastra Sampushta Punarbhagavata Drita.
The embryo of Puru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu in the womb of Uttara, his wife, was burnt by the weapon of the son of Drona, but later he was again protected by the Lord.
Ayajayad Harmasutam Ashvamedhai Sribhirvibho So Ape Shimam Anujarakshan Reme Krishnam Anuvrataha.
The Supreme Lord induced the son of Dharma to perform 3 horse sacrifices, and Maharaj Yudhishthir, constantly following Krishna, the personality of Godhead, protected and enjoyed the earth, assisted by his younger brothers.
Bhagavan Ape Vishvatma Lokaveda Pathanuga Kamansi Sheve Dharvatiyam Asakta Sankyam Asthitaha.
Simultaneously, the personality of Godhead enjoyed life in the city of Dwarka, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. He was situated in detachment and knowledge, as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy.
Nighasmitava Lokena Vachapi Yushakalpaya Charitrenana Vadyena Sriniheta Atmana.
He was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, and his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarian words, and his flawless character.
Imam Lokam Amam Cheva Ramayan Sutaram Yadun Vimekshana Dayadata Shana Trikshana Sauhrida.
The Lord enjoyed his pastimes both in this world and in other worlds, higher planets, especially in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with women.
Tasevam Rama Manasya Samvatsara Ganan Bahun Kriha Medheshu Yogeshu Viraga Samajayatam.
The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years, but at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested.
Devadhineshu Kameshu Devadhinasmayam Panapaman O Vishrambheta Yogena Yogeshwaram Anuvrataha.
Every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus his sense enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. No one, therefore, can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service.
Turijam kadachit kretadbhir yadom bhoja kumarakai koketa munaya shepur Bhagavan Mata Govda.
Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them.
Tatakati Payermaser Vrishni Bhoja Dhakadaya Yayo Prabhasam Samrishta Ratherdeva Vimohita.
A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, and Andaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhasa, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remain in Dwarka.
Tatrasnatva Pitrindevan Rishim Shiva Tat Abhasa Tarapayatva Viprebhyo Gavo Bahu Gunadado.
After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity.
Hiranyam Rajatam Shayam Vasam Syajena Kambalam Prayanan Radhan Imbahan Kanya Haran Vrite Karim Ape.
The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin, seeds, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance.
Anam Chorut Rasam Tebhyo Tatva Bhagavat Arpanam Gove Prartha Sava Shora Prane Morbhove Mordabhi.
Thereafter they offered the Brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, first offered to the personality of Godhead, and offered their respectful obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. They lived perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Lord's Pastimes Out of Vrindavan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for allowing this off, and please forgive me for mistakes made. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Pandava Arjun Prabhuji and Drishti Mataji, for the beautiful recitations. Thank you. I'm just looking in the participants list and I can't see Mamta Mataji, Mamta Mataji's name in the list. So I wonder what time she'll be joining us. I know that.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm just calling her.
Thank you very much. I know she's in India at the moment.
Okay.
So I
I'll just
hope
try
she'll
and
be.
call her.
Thank you so much. I'll recite the Mangala Charan while waiting for you. Thank you, Mataji. Let's all do the Mangala Charan. You can put your hands together and recite with me behind muted mics. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौरङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna, Mamta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for actually doing the prayers. Everybody, good evening, everyone. Hare Krishna to
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
This is Dan speaking from India. So today I think we're going to do chapter 3 and from canto 3 from 22 to 24 verses, Mataji and Prabhuji's. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much for allowing me to be in this today's session. Please forgive me for any mistakes I make, and I need your blessings to conduct this class.
Thank you so much, Mamta Mataji. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So nice of you to join us all the way from India, Mataji. It's quite
It's
late
my
over
pleasure,
there.
my honor, Mataji, my honor at all. My honor.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Krishna. So today from chapter 3, canto 3. Just wondering if anybody could read the verse.
I can read it, Mataji, if you want. Hare Krishna.
Please, Mataji, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay.
Verse 22, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 3, chapter 3, shloka number 22. Tas yevam rama manasya samavatsaraganan bahum grahamedeshu yogeshu viragaha samjayata. Translation. The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years. But at last, his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested. Do you want me to read the purport, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Okay. Even though the Lord is never attached to any kind of material sex life, as the universal teacher, he remained a householder for many, many years, just to teach others how one should live in householder life. Srila Viswanatha Chakravarti Thakur explains that the word samajayata means fully exhibited. In all his activities while present on the earth, the Lord exhibited detachment. This was fully displayed when he wanted to teach by example that one should not remain attached to household life for all the days of one's life. One should naturally develop detachment as a matter of course. The Lord's detachment from household life does not indicate detachment from his eternal associates, the transcendental cowherd damsels. But the Lord desired to end his so-called attachment to the three modes of material nature. He can never be detached from the service of his transcendental associates like Rukmini and other goddesses of fortune, as described in the Brahma Samhita 5.29. Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Seva Manam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So over here, now we should go a bit more back, about how this whole canto is about the Lord's pastimes in outside Vrindavana. What we have to understand over here is the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but He has come down and to be among the material beings. So the Lord is always going by example. So He is walking the talk, basically. He is doing this so that people will follow Him and they should continue doing what He is doing. And that is the main thing of the whole. He's just giving us examples of how to live the life and how to detach from the life also. You should not be stuck with this material life all throughout your one's lifespan. So over here, in this particular verse, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Lord, what happened after going from Mathura, then he goes to Dwaraka. Then he gets married. He has many wives. And they're not like just going and getting married like how, not like a materialistic marriage, how they have. He does go and usually he rescues people. So he had 16,000 wives. And who are these wives? 16,000 wives. And these are damsels, the princesses who were kidnapped by this asura called Narakasura. And he had, once these, in olden times, even now also, if a girl has been kidnapped, either girl actually is supposed to be either in the father's house, or the next place for the girl is supposed to be in the husband's house. Anyway, in between, it becomes very difficult for the girl to survive a normal life. So we have a Narakasura had kidnapped so many of these damsels, these princesses. And then when Lord Krishna actually kills Narakasura, then the damsels will be praying to Krishna to save them, and by asking basically to save their lives, because they can't go any other place because they have been kidnapped by this demon. So they need to go back. They can't go back to the father's place anymore. So they need to go back to husband's place, and that is where Krishna basically he marries them. This is the transcendental marriage. So how does he marry 16,000 women, 16,000 damsels? And so by his internal potency, he becomes different Krishnas according to the qualities of the damsels. So that can only happen because of transcendental qualities. Any person who is materialistic will not be able to do that. A person can't have another physical body, but Krishna, through his internal potency, he gets into different types of Krishnas according to the damsel he marries, according to the princess he marries, so that they become a perfect couple. Now, in this, Srila Prabhupada is trying to say that even though the Lord is never attached to any kind of material sex life, so what happens? People always think, because we have materialistic eyes, we are very much conditioned. We think about physical things, so materialistic body we think. But Krishna does not have these type of, with his 16,000 wives, he does not have any sex level like a materialistic sex life. And he's fully omnipotent. When he's omnipotent means he can eat through his ears, he can produce children through just by a glance, he can every part of his body can do any different things. So we should not, like physical people, we should not think that, oh, he's having a sex life and so on. So this is what mundane people will think. But then again, Krishna, through his internal potencies, obviously he'll have 10 children through each of his wives. So, and one daughter, I think. So imagine their generation is being, so the next so many generations you'll have, again, Krishna's Yadu dynasty will be continuing. So here you have to really understand the basic thing is, you have to understand even Krishna's qualities, it have to be only from a pure devotee. We are no way qualified even to understand Krishna. That's where people always Mundane people or atheist people try to criticize Krishna, saying that look at him, he's got so many wives, so many this and all, but they don't understand what the Prakriti, what is the main nature of these, why Krishna had to form many types of Krishnas or have uses internal potency to form many varieties of Krishna. The same thing with Rasa Leela also, people don't understand. But that is why you do not you do not go into understanding those things with your conditioned mind. You have to be a pure devotee to understand them. You have to understand, you have to be in full devotional service to even understand these type of qualities. So over here, what Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti, he is trying to explain like how that in all his activities that were present on the earth, the Lord exhibited detachment. So over here, Krishna enjoys all this household activity like a normal person. He will enjoy his life, he'll eat properly, he'll rest, he will have nice gupshup with the damsels in the evening, and then how a normal family would do. I mean, the same thing he does, and then after some time he will start exhibiting detachment. So then again he will try not to have. So this is where the Vanaprastha stage comes, where obviously you will try to now your family life is done. Now you have to go into devotional service type. So over here, this is how Krishna Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is trying to explain that how Lord Krishna is trying to teach us by example, and that we should not be attached to the household life for all your days in your life. So you, as early as possible, if you become Vanaprastha, the better it will be, because then you can concentrate onto the devotional service of the Lord. And now over here also, Radha, what they're trying to say is we should understand this. All these pastimes are by his personal associates, and most of them are from the Yadu dynasty and all the lords. So over here, what happens is Krishna is never detached from them. So never detached from his eternal associates. That is they have said the transcendental cowherd damsels, the gopis. But the Lord desired to end his so-called attachment to three modes of material nature. So anything happening in this Prakriti, in this material nature, that is the place where we need to be detached. So our worshipping to the Lord, or having pure devotional service, so that should become more like, it becomes more transcendental for us. So we should not be detached from those services, which can become from material, it will become to transcendental. But for the mundane things which we do, we need to get detached from them, because they are the ones who consume a lot of our time and yield nothing. The result is zero, or we go into negative actually. So, but actually by giving all our time to devotional service, and by doing things which help in understanding the Lord, will actually give us a positive time. So that is what over here Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain. And also trying to say, like, the Lord can never be detached from the service of his transcendental associates like Rukmani. Rukmani is a goddess of fortune, and so also the lot of other gopis and all the other associates who have come here to do his pastimes. He is never detached from them. He's always with them. So in the Brahma Samhita 5.29, he tries to say, isn't it? Chintamani prakara sadmashu kalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhira vipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra shata sambrama sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So here what the Brahma Samhita 5.29 says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord Brahma is saying, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. So these are all his eternal associates. So he's never separated from them. So he's never detached from them. So that is what this first verse is trying to say, like how the Lord is trying to be in this material life like a normal householder. Even before that, also you can see how many examples of how the Lord actually goes and so let me get this back. How the Lord actually lives a life of a householder, and plus all his pastimes. You can see like how he tries to do things. When how he does. Like how he goes and gets the parijata flower when Satyabhama asked. Any husband, any wife will ask the husband to go and get something. So husband will do for his wife the same thing he did over here, and he gets married to Rukmini like a normal. Elopes away and then gets married to Rukmini. And lots of pastimes. You can see how Krishna actually lives in this material world to make so that people can actually follow him, whatever he does. So that's the first verse, I think. Should we go to the next one, please? Any volunteers?
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I do?
Please, Mother. Please.
Devadineshu kameshu Devadina swayam pumam Ko vishrambeta yogena Yogeshwaram anuvrata. Translation. Every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus his sense enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. No one, therefore, can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service. Shall I read the purport as well?
Yes, Mataji, please.
As stated in Bhagavad Gita, no one can understand the transcendental birth and activities of the Lord. The same fact is herein corroborated. No one but one who is entitled by the devotional service of the Lord can understand the difference between the Lord's activities and those of others who are controlled by the supernatural force. The sense enjoyment of all animals, men, and demigods within the purview of the material universe is controlled by the supernatural force called Prakriti and Devi Maya. No one is independent in obtaining sense enjoyment, and everyone in this material world is after sense enjoyment. Persons who are themselves under the control of supernatural power cannot believe that Lord Krishna is not under any control beyond himself in the matter of sense enjoyment. They cannot understand that his senses are transcendental. In the Brahma Samhita, the Lord's senses are described as omnipotent, that is, with any sense, he can perform the activities of the Lord, senses of the Lord. The activities of the other senses. One who has limited senses cannot believe that the Lord can eat by his transcendental power of hearing and can perform the act of sex life simply by seeing. The controlled living entity cannot even dream of such sense activities in his conditional life, but simply by the activities of Bhakti Yoga, he can understand that the Lord and his activities are always transcendental. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavams yas chasmi tat vata. One cannot know even a fraction of the activities of the Lord if he is not a pure devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thanks a lot. So in this verse, what we learn is that whoever in this material world, we have been controlled by Maya. We know that, which is again created by the Lord Himself. And but again, people are so people do not understand like how the Lord cannot be in control of. I mean, he cannot be under the control of what He's created. You know, that is really going to be crazy. So you create something, and then something tries to take over you or try to control you. Is really a bit odd, because you are the Lord who has created Maya. And how can Maya take over the Lord? So that is something we should understand. I mean, as conditioned soul, we cannot understand. And we always think that, why does it not affect the Lord, you know, the Maya? But all of us, everybody who is born in this materialistic world, we are only after sense gratification. And this is the whole problem we have. We spend all the time in trying to gratify our senses. Doesn't matter, it can be any different senses. You know, we have so many senses in our body, like 5 or 6. And if you're satisfied with one, then we go to the next sense, and then we go to the next sense until all the senses are satisfied. So, but we know that all this sense gratification will not yield anything. As we said, it will make us go into negative. We will be in debt actually by going into this debt of being reborn again and again, so that we can, our bank balance will be 0, and then to become a positive credit by devotional service. So over here, this supernatural force which we are calling is called Maya, which we have. It is called Daivya Maya or Prakriti. And everybody who was in materialistic world will be under the influence, except for the Lord. These people who are actually under Maya, they can't understand, as I said, why is the Lord not being able to, is not under control of Maya. As we said, like, Lord is the main originator. So how can He be under control of something which He originated? They can't control Him. So, and they also don't understand, because with pure bhakti, what will happen is, with pure devotional service, as we say in the Bhagavad Gita 80.55 chapters, Bhaktya mam abhi jananti yavan yaschasmi tatvataha. So without, if you are not a pure devotee, you can't even understand a small bit of the Lord. So you will think everything is like very materialistic. So only a devotee will understand that Lord can do anything. So the example, I can give a nice example. I think there was everybody knows about the story where, I think this is about that cobbler and this Brahman, and they will try to say, like, I mean, a task will be given to both of them, you know, just they have to, they'll say, can you, but it's about needling an elephant into threading an elephant into a needle. And so when they ask the Brahman, he says, how can that be possible? How can you thread the elephant? The elephant is so big, and through the needle. And then when he asks the cobbler will say, well, it is God. God can do anything, you know. So it depends upon your faith, like how the Brahman had, even though he was totally very materialistic, whereas when you see the cobbler with his faith, he could say that God is anything and He can do anything. He can thread a needle from a elephant through the needle of to the eye of the needle. He can do anything he wants. Whereas a Brahmin would not believe it, because his eyes are literally stuck in this material world. He cannot go beyond that thought of this senses. Whereas a devotee can go beyond. So if you're a pure devotee, you can always say, yes, there can be millions of suns, or there can be millions of stars, or there can be millions, or anything which we cannot see. When we cannot see, doesn't mean that it is not there. Which a devotee will say that, yes, that can be possible. But for a scientist, or for an atheist, or for any of these materialistic beings, we think that wherever our eye span can go, that is their limit, they think. And that is where the whole problem comes, because your eyes are really covered with so much of dust and so much of conditioned senses that it won't allow you to see beyond a certain certain length. After when we become old, we can't even see a foot away from us because of cataract and other stuff. Imagine. But if you have your transcendental eyes, you don't need to open your eyes and see. You can see things even with the eyes closed. And that is the Divya Chakshu, they say, which we will not be able to understand unless you're a pure devotee. So over here now in Brahma Samhita, the Lord will describe his senses are omnipotent. That means any part of the body can do anything. Like how the Lord can eat with his hearing, and he can perform the act of sex just by simply seeing. He can just, instead of the hand can do the activities which the leg could do, or your stomach can do. He can eat with his, the hand can digest things, so anything like that. And it is not impossible that any of the organs in the body can perform a different activity other than what they're meant for. So that only a devotee can understand, whereas a non-devotee will not be able to fathom, can't even think, how can that be possible? And this is where you will see who is a devotee or who is a non-devotee. So that's where we need to we do more bhakti, to understand the Lord. And the Lord will only reveal, unless he reveals it, we will not be able to see. So that's why in that Bhagavad Gita 18.55, he says that one cannot even know a fraction of the activities if is not a pure devotee of the Lord. So you have to be pure from your heart to understand the Lord, and also what we also have to learn is that just by doing simple activities of bhakti yoga, just by pure service and pure surrender, by pure faith, Lord will reveal a lot to you. Hare Krishna. Can you put the next verse, please? Any volunteers?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can do that as well.
Please, Mataji, thank you.
Uriyam kadachit kridabhir yadu bhoja kumarakte kopita munyaye sepur Bhagavan Mata Kovida. Translation. Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the supporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them. Purport: the associates of the Lord who were playing the part of princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties were not ordinary living entities. It is not possible that they could offend any saintly man or sage, nor could the sages, who were all pure devotees of the Lord, be influenced to anger by any of the sporting activities of the princes born in the holy dynasties of Yadu or Bhoja, wherein the Lord himself appeared as a descendant. The cursing of the princes by the sages was another transcendental pastime of the Lord to make a show of anger. The princes were cursed in order that one may know that even the descendants of the Lord, who could never be vanquished by any act of material nature, were subjected to the reactions of anger by great devotees of the Lord. One should therefore take great care and attention not to commit an offense at the feet of a devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for reading that. So, over here, obviously, we're going to the next phase where Srila Prabhupada is trying to describe over here. And basically, Shukadeva Goswami is trying to tell Parikshit Maharaj like how the fall down of the Yadu dynasty starts over here. And it is again Lord's creation, Lord's way of healing things. And when Yadus start becoming, Yadus are the most powerful people on this earth. We actually, when Kurukshetra happened, right? Then Lord basically was very, in a way, he was pleased that at least half the burden of all the unwanted people, or basically adharma, had been mitigated in a way. After the war, all of them were gone. But then there was still adharma yet to come, and more. It was still more. The earth was not bereft of all the unreligious people. And this would what he, obviously Lord would predict that this is going to happen to his, it would come from his dynasty, basically. And that is how he creates this pastime, where you wouldn't believe that how these, nobody would believe like why pious people should be actually getting angry. But this is how he creates a pastime so that it leads to the destruction of the dynasty. So over here, this is all Krishna's desire, they say. So he wanted to basically withdraw all his entire dynasty from the surface of the earth. And so by Krishna's desire, basically, all these sages, who Narada, Vishwamitra, and lots of other sages who they all will come to, they assemble at this holy place called Pindaraka, which is near the city of Dwaraka. And then what happens? You have all these young boys from the Yadu dynasty, and Samba, who is the son of Jambavati, and he'll be dressed up like a woman, like a pregnant woman, and then they will try to mock this in a way, ask them that, oh boy, can you please predict as to what this woman will produce the child, what sort of a child this person is going to happen. And then obviously the sages will get very angry, and then they will curse that she'll give birth to a club that will destroy the family. And then all these Yadus, they get really frightened, and then they go to the king, Ugrasena. And Ugrasena, who's the king of the Yadus, then he will say, they get really very worried now. The Brahmanas has cursed them. What's going to happen? So he orders the club to be really ground into pieces and thrown into the ocean. And in the ocean, obviously, one of the pieces is not ground properly. So that gets eaten up by the fish. And that is caught by the fish, the hunter, Jara, and he takes out this iron thing and makes the small arrowhead. And then the dust and all, they get really washed into the shores. And from there, all these bamboo canes are grown. Now, what happens? After this curse is done, and they think that everything is over now, everything is all gone. And then they normally do lots of yajnas, and they give lots of things to Brahmanas, the charities to Brahmanas, and we give them cows, jewels, and everything. All these yadus will give. And that also then they'll be enjoying themselves, and then they start drinking all this liquor made from the rice. We have this... they make they have the rice, and from the rice they can make liquor, and from there all these yadus will get really drunk, and then they start hurting each other by saying harsh words, and then everybody gets really very, very angry, and then they start fighting among themselves. And all these happens on the shows of the Prabhasat kingdom, I think. And over there, then they start fighting with each other, and then what do they find out? The staffs which are made from the stuffs, those which grew from there. The bamboo shoots are grown on this from the shores where all the stuff of the club was washed away, and then they fight with each other, and then they kill themselves, and that's how their dynasty will be basically gone. So over here, So over here, the Lord is trying to say, he also wanted to show the pastime of anger. It's another one more thing of how anger can also create a destruction of the society, of the dynasty. of anything. You might be thinking like, why should a sage who's so pious, who's so done so many austerities, and why do they still get angry? What is the reason? But there's always a reason why a sage gets angry. I mean, even though you might say he might not have enough sense control, but then there's always a pastime as to why a certain emotion is displayed to create that pastime, to give us an example. So over here, what we learn from that Yadu dynasty thing is, first of all, disrespecting sages, trying to mock a sage, trying to I don't know, when you disrespect somebody just to test someone, that shows arrogance from one part of from the Yadu young boys, from Samba and other his young friends. That this happens mostly with teenagers or youngsters. I'm not blaming anyone, but I'm just saying that all of us also who have arrogance. So that shows that mood over there. If somebody has arrogance, then they will lose all their mental faculties, and then they start insulting people. And then obviously they will get a reaction because of insulting someone. They will get a reaction, and then they're caught up in that reaction. And when they're caught up in the reaction of whirlpool of reaction, then they can't get out. And that in itself causes their own destruction in so many ways. That is something to learn from here. And the second thing to learn also is that if suppose, obviously, you do not have that thing to ridicule anyone, then you would not be in that situation at all. And then maybe things would have been quite different. But obviously, this is Lord's Leela. I'm just saying about today's lifetime, how we are. So from here, what we learn is how we do not make anybody angry, or anybody, should I say, disrespect people, and or be egoistic or be proud. So these qualities will always cause us to fall down. And also, what we also have to learn over here is, so in this this Prabhasa Khanda, this was also described in Skanda Purana, where they will be, I think, Gauri, Shiva will be telling Gauri about this thing, and also about the 16,000 damsels. I'm just going back over the 16,000 damsels of how the Lord in through his internal potencies becomes various the Krishnas to fulfill the various Krishnas to be as their husbands, to fulfill the actual role of a husband. And over here, what we learn from all these three verses is that Krishna lived as how a normal person would live, and he lived as a householder. But in that householder also, he did whatever he has to be as a husband. He did all the activities. But then when the time came, he detached from all these activities, even though we know that Lord was never attached to any of these material activities, but he detached from the activities. And then in that way, he's trying to show to us that we should not be, and then go into a bhakti life, basically. So, but he never got detached from his eternal associates. And I just wanted to say about how Krishna basically, about how Vidura also, how Krishna, wait, this thing is the next chapter, I think. Sorry, just want to quickly say. So then what happens over here is, when all the descendants, they start fighting among themselves, then Krishna basically sees that his Yadu dynasty is being destroyed, and then obviously he goes to the banks of Saraswati. He drinks, sips the water, and then obviously he sits under the tree, and that is when obviously how Uddhava will will be over there, and then how Krishna will tell Uddhava to go to Badrikashram, and he gives him the responsibility because he has full faith in Uddhava that he should go and preach Bhagavatam basically, and that he'll be in the form of Bhagavatam and preach still the religiosity, the principles of religiosity and dharma to everyone. So I think in Badrikashram, obviously, Uddhava goes there and he feels very sad not to be with the Lord, but he follows. He just listens to Krishna and he obeys, as how a disciple should obey a guru. So you learn that how you're supposed to follow everything what your guru says. That's one example you can learn from them. So from Bhagavatam, what we see is every chapter, everything, there's a lesson for all of us to learn. And beyond now going through how, again, this is again a description of how briefly how Krishna is his pastimes in Vrindavan and out of Vrindavan, and each of them has one lesson to learn. But at this particular thing, what in these 3 verses, what we learn is how to live your life, do your work, I think, do all your duties as you're expected to do, and do your dharma properly, and then try to don't be attached to any, your whole family or any materialistic things, because that will bring down your, obviously, or it takes away all your time basically. So what we have most precious than anything else, any money or any health, is time first. So time is the biggest factor which tells us what our next life is going to be and how we are going to be tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So what we need to do today and now will tell us. So what is today is tomorrow. What we do now is our tomorrow. So they used to say, there used to be a proverb saying that what we are supposed to do tomorrow, do it today, and what is supposed to do it today, do it now. So time is the main Lakshmi for us. So we have to use that time appropriately, and hopefully, I'm sure all of you all know, sometimes we feel a bit lazy, we feel do not want to do things, but maybe utilize your time, because no day is same, no time is same, no moment is same. The moment is gone. And I always believe that if anything which comes in a mind, you see, there's something telling us to do things, you should go ahead and do it, because tomorrow never comes. You will never be able to do the same thing again the next day, because everything is dynamic. Time is changing, you're changing, everyone is changing, this whole earth is changing, the temperature, the room, everything is dynamic. So nothing is static. You might think the house which you built is static. No, that also wears. So that is also, everything is dynamic. So from what I've learned, all of us can learn, is that time is the most precious commodity, and we have to really use it very, very, very wisely and to the best of our ability, so that we try our level best not to be reborn again. It's very easy to preach, but all of us, we have to walk the talk, as I say. That is the famous thing I try to use. Unless we do it ourselves, it's so difficult to tell people what to do. So I just wanted to tell a bit more. I'm from Vrindavan. I had been to Vrindavan, a couple of things, if I may, just a couple of lines I want to say. So I had been to, I came to Vrindavan just 3 days ago. And then I went to Nandagaon and went to Parikrama actually. On a good day, did the 21 kilometers Parikrama without any issues. Absolutely wonderful it was. Didn't even feel any tiredness at all. Saw different various spots over there. We saw where from Giriraj, where they actually worshipped him. That place we saw, and where Manasi Ganga was there, and we saw where Indra really tide was fallen down. We saw that area, and then we saw all the different kunds. Saw what Surabhi Kund. Then we have Govind Kund. And another one more, I can't remember. And plus where Giriraj is actually prayed as Srinathji. And from basically, apparently one of the devotee from Rajasthan will ask Giri Govardhan not to come to Rajasthan all the time, but he will say, I will go, but I need to come back home. So there's still an everyday ritual where the deities, they go from here, from Giri Govardhan to Rajasthan, which is just about not a few kilometers away, and in the morning, and they come back in the evening for so he says to rest back in Giri Govardhan. So there is a activity where every day they take the lordships they go to Rajasthan and they bring them back again in the evening time for sleeping time. So that festivity, there's another one more temple which the Rajasthan chief minister is very, very attached to. So he was coming that day, and all the chopper and everything was flying. A bit busy. It was very crowded. And then we the next day went to Nandagaon. The same night we came and we saw Annakut festival day. Oh, sorry. From there we went to Radhakund and Radhakund, Shyamkund. Then we did a parikrama over there. And on our way back, Manas Ganga, then Danaghati. People are like flocking like crazy. I mean, it is so very, very strong spiritual atmosphere in Vrindavan at the moment. Oh my God. It is very, very powerful. And from there we went to Nandagaon. And Nandagaon, we stayed overnight at Nandagaon, and from there next day went to Barsana. Then we went to Prem Sarovar, which is the place where Radha and Krishna first met. And that's a very beautiful Sarovar. There are lots of places which we don't know. There are about many, many things in Braj, which I think you might need a week or 10 days at least to see each and every place. And we might just only see to enjoy it. You might need a month or so to be here actually to enjoy Kartik. And then from there we went again over here. Then went to Barsana. After Barsana, we came back to again saw a bit of around Nandagaon, and we came back to Vrindavan. And then today we had to just visit 3 temples, and then we came back. So I saw Banki Bihari. Bihari is a crazy thing because people really, I don't know why they want to just rush over each other. Everybody can see the other cars, but this doesn't happen. It seems like everybody comes in a rush, pushes everybody, and then they have to go out. Then they find enjoyment maybe. Then obviously Radha Ramanji, we just managed to just see a glimpse of Radha Raman because lunchtime, and then we could not wait. Then Radha Damodar and Srila Prabhupada's beautiful kutir, from where actually Prabhupada started his journey, and which is the center of basically Vrindavan. It is absolutely wonderful to go and sit with Srila Prabhupada and enjoy some space along with where he lived. And then obviously, not to tell the least, but Krishna Balram temple is full of ecstasy. Oh my God, the spirituality over there with the continuous kirtans, and it is so energetic. So please, if you'll have anybody, you should make a visit to Vrindavan. Please come here and you will feel the energy. You really feel the energy. You'll have to make a visit sometime in your life. So today's class, I was just thinking, if there are any questions, please, and please forgive me for all my mistakes. And if any questions, anything, then thing is open now.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for your wonderful class. Nice to hear about your travels in Vrindavan and the different dhams and holy sites that you've been visiting. Nice to hear your adventures, blissful adventures. And it's so encouraging. You're encouraging us to also visit Vrindavan, which is very nice. I particularly liked your topic about time. We must all be aware of, how crucial time is. It's just slipping away every minute of the day. And we must make note that don't waste time to follow your dreams and do what you want to do. Follow the right spiritual path. Before you know it, it's too late. So do it when you can, as and when you can. Isn't that right, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, as much as you can, as much as you can. it just as Prabhupada said, it just takes only a minute to become Krishna conscious. So the same way it takes, you have to just spend every second of your time to see the best way we can be.
Yes, and you are our inspiration, Mataji. Please pray for all of us whilst you are there.
So
We
from
really
here only, yes,
appreciate it.
Mataji. I'll be going to Puri, but I forgot to say also so Madan Mohan temple, and also over there, actually Bimal Krishna Prabhuji is a very senior devotee, and absolutely Mataji knows. I was related to Mataji. He also showed us the place where Kali, when basically what has happened now to Yamuna is the Vrindavan is obviously Yamuna has receded miles and miles and miles back. Apparently, when Prabhupada had come that time, they were only full of jungle and there was only a small path, which has become the Parikrama Marg, that path. And before that, all that was full of water because we still have those banks where where Krishna basically jumped from the tree, because the descendant of the tree of where Krishna jumped onto the river to kill, to fight with Kalia. So all that place which was supposed to be water is all, because the Yamuna has receded so much, is all now built up area now. So basically the old river, you have those this circular ghats basically. There are about so many 48 or 56 ghats. I do not know, Prabhuji said something, 56 ghats. And around every ghat has a different name because past times happened over there. But the main thing what I want to say is the water has receded so much beyond that all the new houses are on the beds, the illegal construction, the built on the beds of the river Yamuna. So the place they went upside is called a Dwadasha, what Aditya Tila, where after Sri Krishna, when he was a small boy at that time, that was the age about 6, 7 years, jumped inside the river Yamuna, killed, he drove away Kalia, and then he comes out, then obviously he feels very cold, and then to give him warmth, so the 12 suns came out to give him that much of heat so that he warms up himself. And people might be saying like, oh, he's God, but he can't. But this is one of the pastimes to show, like now over here, what you can see is the sun. They said there are 12 varieties of sun, or 12 every month, one sun basically is named that way. So there are 12 suns. All the 12 suns come out together, sun as in Suraj, they come out together and give him the warmth too, so that Krishna, because he goes in the deepest parts of the Yamuna and it'll be quite cold over there. So when he comes up, he feels very cold. So that place is still there where you can where you can see they pray. The small is they're trying. I think the government is trying to build up that area, renovate that area. So it is called the Dwadasha Aditya Tila. And then also we saw where Radharani's footsteps, and then where in Barsana, the Radharani footsteps absolutely just touched that. And it's quite, the energy is so different. You'll have to, and Kartik Man energy is much more volatile. I think, oh my God, you should see people, there'll be so much of noise, but people will be singing the independent, they don't care about anything. Everybody's singing Hare Krishna, somebody singing from some other song, anything, but everything to do with Radha and Krishna. And nothing else. Radha and Krishna, nothing else. And nobody gets angry over there. And everybody, if they get angry also, how they use it? Radhe Radhe, anything. If you're on the way, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, they'll be saying. And I'm just trying to see, like, with my brother and sister-in-law, they were getting, then my brother says Radhe Radhe, and it's such a calming effect. So if in your family, if anybody is a little bit, getting angry, you just have to say Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe, and it'll calm them down nicely. Just try this trick. It'll surely work, I'm sure.
That's
So I'll be
nice.
going
Nice to know.
Yes, Mataji. It really works actually. And then I'll be going to Puri now after this. I'll take my dad and go to Puri over there. Just stay for a week or so. So hopefully this time my Damodara month was a little bit fruitful. Last day it was a little bit, yes, I went only some places, but I'm trying to make as much time with the family and with my lordships, as much as possible. So I'll pray for all of you. And surely, Krishna is always looking at all of you from everywhere you live. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. If anybody would like to make any comments, please do. Namrata Mataji, would you like to say something? I think she has left. Okay. So if there are no more comments or realizations, reflections, we can end the class with our Vaishnav prayer. Thank you so much, Mataji. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam
Ki jai.
Damodar Manth ki
Jai.
Damodar Leela ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.